Okay. So let's see about this. Don't understand a thing here for moral support. Hey Johnny, thanks for the moral support. How's the mic? This is a bit different setup. Anger. Are you gonna actually study computer science? Because I wasn't too sure. I understood you well, but maybe I misunderstood you. But yeah, gonna work on how can I make the chat say on screen? Every time I click right there. That is quite annoying. That is quite annoying. Yeah, I just have to like the oh nice the mic is good. Yeah, I just have the chat floating around, so yeah. But this is what we're working on. So it's the new calendar feature. So you might remember the old calendar feature, which looked like this. It's on the old side. So this is how it works currently. So I don't think I will have this view. I don't think I will have that since that's kind of like a corridor. I don't think it's as needed as I initially thought, and it takes a lot of space. It's kind of hard to make it nice on like mobile. Like if you go on mobile, this is quite bad. You have to scroll like this. Stuff. It's not so good. So I'm probably gonna opt in for this list view for the new one. So what I have currently is this. So you have the week selector, and then you can click tournament, and you can see the tournament page here. So this is where we're at now. So there's some bugs there that I'm gonna fix, and also there's some things that are missing. I'm also gonna fix. If you worry about or wondering about the names, then that's just from the seed data. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna like work on it as I would normally explain. But yeah, if you have questions, then ask away. Ask away. But yeah, like one problem at least was that, and I mark actually the problems here. So if you check out this source code, this indeed. Uh, yeah, I think we could just like deal with some of this. Well, I just noticed like one bug when I was checking this, so we could fix this one first. The understanding of this, well, I can make it understand. Like clicking Opaqua links triggers. I mean, the link. So I noticed this because in order to do this animation where they're kind of sliding in and out, then um, I also render like elements here. But these are hidden, so you of course clicking them should not actually do anything. But the problem is that currently, when you click here, it actually does something which is not how it's supposed to work. So the first thing we should do is actually, yeah, go here and not let it do that. So we could fix that first. And the way we're gonna do that is that we have this here somewhere. Hey, Decker. I appreciate your non-programmer opinion. I believe that is correct. Okay, so basically, I think I already have the hidden attribute here, which is basically checking that if it's the four external ones that are hidden otherwise, then it's not doing anything. So what we probably want to do is, because it's a link, so should I just like have like should I do it with like CSS? So they have like class name here. I already have a class name, but we could have a class name that's just basically is like this, and then we can say invisible, which is applies visibility hidden. So I think this could already fix it, maybe. Yeah, okay. But with the animation, and the animation also looks good. So that's the first bug. So this is how this this one was not so hard. Yeah, so that's kind of like the first thing here. So we don't need that reminder. Instead, we can just commit that. Say like don't allow clicking hidden read links. Maybe. Yeah. Oof. I'm not gonna do that now. Actually, should I? Wouldn't it let's just commit me and then I can fix this later? Make sure you configure your username and user email. Oof. But I made a whole new account for it. Well, I can do it in a bit. Doesn't matter. We don't we don't have to do it right now. So this is TypeScript and with JSX, which is not really actual TypeScript. It's an extension. So so basically this stuff here is JSX, which is not actually TypeScript. It's an extension of the language. Okay. But that was like one thing that I could do. Then there's also scrolls down on page load. That's quite tricky. So do that now. Instead, calculate in the object. But we could make something like new up here. So I think what we want to do is once you go here, then uh, basically this looks similar, but there's some differences. There's some you have the date here, and yeah, because otherwise the date is here as a header, and then you only have date here. But there's also the name of whoever submitted the tournament. So I think here in this view, it would be quite cool to have it like here, like as like who wrote this. So basically, we're gonna have the avatar, and we're gonna have the username. So no dumb manipulation. Well, no, not directly. So there's a React in between. So this all is basically like React is handling all that for you. So basically, you don't have to think about directly manipulating any DOM nodes normally when you're working with React. Instead, you can like just worry what type of markup to render uh, for whatever state you have. So I'm just like deciding here whatever state I have, then what I render, and then React is supposed to basically handle that for you and do some like yeah, you don't have to worry about that. So that's the advantage of using a UI library or framework like React. But yeah, we can just add. So basically, we already have an avatar component, so we're just gonna like stuck it to the right place here, which would be, I believe, at the that's the container. Are we not even the right component? Let's start with that. it's a description, but actually we can just do like a div here, doesn't matter. Then we can do like avatar. It's my own custom component. You can see here, it's just it just renders image basically. And this good avatar, which is event, should already have that. No, it doesn't. This is the SQL fetching it. So I think I already added it, but I just forgot to update the type. So I'm like typing this all manually in this project. So we do have to add Discord ID and Discord avatar here. So the types reflect actually what we are getting in the SQL statement here. So yeah, and once we do that, we should have it here. So Discord avatar, and then Discord ID, and I don't remember what other, because I have size group. Okay, that's not formatting. Right there, thanks. And that's the auto formatter doing stuff. So it's like, don't have to like manually update all this markup when I do some change. So yeah. That's the avatar, so I guess we can see. So I don't have any test avatars on the seed data, so it's gonna look like this. But right away we see that this medium-sized avatar looks quite funky here, so we probably don't want it to be medium, maybe like small. Yeah, that's more like it. So then we're just gonna have the name here. Do I prefer TypeScript over JavaScript? Yes, because I prefer to find my errors while I'm coding, not that my users find them. Confused, are you writing SQL from frontend? Isn't this insecure? No, that's not frontend. So .server.ts, this is a module that gets excluded from the frontend bundle. So this gets called here in the loader. Loader runs on server. So it doesn't, this is what we are returning to the frontend, and this is where I'm actually running the SQL. So yeah, it's a very valid question, but the answer is no, it's not going to frontend. Yeah, we see the name here. And we can just do like some CSS classes, so stack, horizontal, medium, justify center. So I don't use Tailwind, I just copy some of their classes, like this is quite useful to have. Okay, that's not, I never remember item syntax. Yeah, so that already looks pretty good. We just decrease the spacing a bit, and yeah, that already looks quite good. Like this is close to what I want. I just don't want this space here to be so big. Actually, what I'm gonna do is to make a stack out of this stack. It's gonna be small as well. So now it's kind of like, do you have Discord users in some sort of database? Yes, yes I do. So DB types. This kind of like matches to my. We could also. I don't think I have the SQLite installed on this computer, so I can like this user, so I can show. But this is the user table. So basically, each time you log in, I think we can actually go ahead and look at it. Out indicators, skirts. Yeah. So this is like the logging handler, and we are getting like stuff. This is when the user logs in. We get the user, we get the connection, so that's like Twitch and whatnot. Then we parse the connections, then we upsert. So we either insert or we or we basically insert or yeah. I hope it's interesting, and I'm happy to explain even some like basic stuff. Like I quite like that, so I don't mind any questions at all. But yeah, I think the layout of it is looking quite good. So yeah, very baby. So yeah, here, and I think I do want this to be a bit like bolded, maybe. Yeah. So I think we do want that name to be bolded. Maybe we'll make the name a bit smaller. I don't think it needs to be so big in this case. Actually, do we have even smaller size for the avatar? I mean, we could make one, but I don't think we have to in this case. Just make the name a bit smaller. So maybe instead of like doing this, we could just like make this like event. Holder, whatever. It's good. We do have the CSS somewhere. Yeah, so I can do this then. Display flex gap is 1. This is a CSS variable, so it maps to unit basically. Align items center and font weight sampled. What else we need? I also think that might do the trick. Yeah. But I think honestly, like to me, tell me I'm wrong. I think it should be like I think the user could be even smaller here. So in that case, I think we want to allow also like extra small one. And in the extra small case, we do say 36. And then we can apply it here. Yeah, I think that to me that looks better. And we could, because to me it's not so important necessarily. Or maybe we should. I probably won't do any generic tech support here. There's plenty of good discourse for that. So yeah, you probably just do something like this. I think that's fine. Yeah, I need to think about that. I don't know. That's quite what we want. But yeah, at least I think it's pretty close to what we want here. So I think that could be one. I would normally do commits here, but I don't feel like fixing the email and the username right now, just for the small testing. So I think I'm just gonna like leave that uncommitted, and then I'll fix it later off stream. But if so, there's still like some other stuff to fix here. For example, you can see like the padding is quite off. Like there should be padding after the last item as well. Currently there isn't primarily. And in this case, there's actually something weird going on here. Like because I'm server rendering this, like if I load this in, you see what I mean? It flickers like that, but at least stuff to jump around. I don't know how good this is to do. Everyone is back. Well, this is kind of like both, but I guess I'm more focused on front end this time around. But yeah, so this is kind of like strange thing I'm doing here, but you can see that this kind of like flicker, and I don't know this. I might improve this, but the idea is that I can at least render something from the server, and the problem is that uh, the server time and the user time could be different. So uh, for that reason, they can only be rendered on server. But I also want to render something on the first page load. So that's why we're loading something. But this makes the padding more hard because actually Server time, well, the server is running on a different time. So if I could have the server run in, say, the Helsinki time zone. Yeah, it's a Node backend, basically. So we could have the server run on, say, Helsinki time, but then the user is from California. So then when I send it over, then that's not like a same. It's not a ping problem, no. It's just because we are rendering this markup on server the first time around, so it's gonna have different dates, and React won't like if we do that. So we have to do the stuff on the client basically. But yeah, so this is why it's tricky because actually the the day headers are in between every one of these, and then it just decides which ones to show depending on the user's time zone because it some events might be Thursday for like some user and then Wednesday for other users, so we don't know basically before we go on server. But this does mean that it makes some stuff hard. I don't know if this is worth it. Like maybe I should just not render anything at all. Instead, I could like only do it uh, on on client, like render everything on client. That would make it quite simpler. But I think I'm gonna leave it because I don't know. I think it's quite fun. But yeah, we need to add some padding at the end there. And I think I was thinking the way to do that. Time doesn't space not taken. Unless I don't remember what I wrote for myself from the client showed server times. I mean, maybe there's some header stuff for it. I haven't really looked into that. I wonder how reliable that is. I need to look into it. It won't be HTTP request. It could be like the headers. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, oh, we could actually fix this first. So now, as you see, it flickers like this when you are loading the page in. And the reason is that like first time this is loading, there's actually nothing in the markup again because well, we don't know what the time is from the point of view of the user before we actually load it up on the web page. And yeah, basically the solution is not so hard. You just have to. Yeah, we could do a placeholder, but I think personally I don't mind. I just don't want it to push stuff like downwards. So I think what we can just do is have this and then give this like a height of something. Like I don't know, like not much. Oh, why is it not taking space? Oh, we give it time. I think the time is just time which gets the div here. Yes, it should be actually this guy. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I think it's a tricky one. Like how to handle time zones like this. Like here in the plus zero feature, I do relative days and then I load this exact date on the client. So this is a pretty good solution here. And same with the successions. I use relative dates that this gets generated on the server. Oh, thank you, Merlin. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm doing, Captain, basically. That's what I'm doing. But it depends really what you're trying to achieve. Best is, of course, maybe have the if you don't have to display it at all, but quite often it's quite nice to have. And here the relative times make sense, but here it's a calendar, so you can't really, yeah, you can't really get away from the fact that it would not be very useful calendar if there's no times. But yeah, I'm wondering why not? Should we just give it as an attribute then actually? This actually just have an height of something. Does it work? It works for, I guess, for images only. Because I know like the one way to do it is also I can show like one way to do it, but I don't know if I'm gonna go with that. Oh, I don't even have it here, so hide this. Okay, so that's what I wanted. I think we can just do like one there, and now it doesn't flicker like when the user is loading the page like this, then it doesn't flicker, which is like what we wanted there. Cool. Cool. Okay, so now about this, some of this generated URLs are quite funny. Anyway, so yeah, currently I'm doing this not so clean thing here. So let's close some of this. So I'm doing something not so clean here. So basically, I'm just looping it and then I'm mutating in the update weeks app. Oh, not that function. Calendar page. Then we have this data events, and then we are mutating this dates rendered set, and then we are deciding whether to render the date string by checking if we already rendered it. So this is not really that clean. Yeah, well, I think for me too, like I've been working, I think this like the current iteration, this is like the last iteration. I think at every time we can do something better, some way at least. But yeah, VSC stream. What is VSC? But yeah, so basically the way to fix this, I believe, is that we're actually I need to think. I don't know like what's a good way to fix this actually. Yes, it's been awesome. Yeah, it's been quite funny to work on it, honestly, for a long period of time. And always tends to do things better. But yeah, I mean, because I could have the events grouped here. That's not a problem. But the problem is that then, of course, it's gonna mess up my current rendering strat with these date streams. So I don't know. I was thinking I could maybe like yeah, like pre-figure out, but I think I would only want to do that like after the only on the client, which I don't know if that's so clean. And in the end, it's honestly this is quite close to what I want anyway. So the only thing I want is just a tiny bit padding here at the end, but man, it's not so. It is. So we could do something ugly here, I bet. So we could check if like the next one to be rendered has is gonna render the date, and then based on that we could add a class to add padding at the bottom of this. I think that would actually work fine, but it's like so ugly. That's that's so unclean. So I would prefer not to do that if possible, but it's one way to do it. So how would that even look, basically? It would be a different function if I were to do it that way, but the way it would look, I believe, is well, just to like as a proof of concept, let's just copy this. So this would instead be next state string, and then this would be will So this would actually be date string rendered below. Yeah, like you're seeing why I don't really want to do this. So but yeah, basically it's doable like this. So then you would basically say here data events I plus one, which of course can be. So basically we would also have to say becomes next event is this. And only do that if there's a next event. Otherwise just never into null. And this will complain, but we can whatever. Just do. So now this, in theory, this should now tell us if this guy is padding or not. So we could say here, like maybe it would be cleanest to, because I don't have Tailwind in this project. I don't really like Tailwind that much, but I do like the idea of having some like reusable like utility classes. So in this case, we'd say like padding bottom. So we say padding logend is this, and then here we could say that apply this class that we just created in case we have a date string rendered below. And it does not work. Maybe it works, but I'm applying. Oh, actually, actually, it does, but it's rendering it to the wrong place. In the date container? No, that doesn't seem right. It should be. We're just applying it to the wrong place, so it should not be in the date container, obviously. It should be in this, for this guy. CLSX is just a utility function to control when the classes are applied. So it puts the string together for you, and it handles this putting them together and also like toggling them based on some other external logic. Um, like this. Yeah. So actually it did get applied, but that's way too small amount of padding. But if you do padding 4, then yeah, that would do the trick. So you see, there is like a way to do it, but this is not really the case that I don't know like how to solve this problem. This is more like it's more of a problem that we don't want to do like the ugliest way you can possibly think of. Which I think this right here is like this like doing this sort of stuff in the rendering function, in my opinion, is a goat smell. But I don't know if there's a better way to do it. Oh yeah, and I bet this actually it doesn't break that either, so even that works. I mean, it's ugly, but it works. I don't know how else to do it. I don't think I can pre-calculate it because then it will mess up when it's self-rendering it. I don't know. I guess we can think about it a bit. I would normally do commits, but yeah, this is not. This is more like a test stream, and I need to log into or like at my username and email. So that is one thing. Then we could do something like again quite visual, but this gets more like maybe on the backend side of things. So if you notice these links up here, each of them has times 12. So of course, this is not correct, as you can see. If we go backwards, then it's not 12 events here. So the reason for this is because we are hard coding it here. So the way to fix this is to call the database, get the events there. But I gotta say, I don't know if there's a way to do it entirely on database. I try to rely as much on the database as possible. I try to avoid doing calculations in JavaScript when I don't have to. But in this case, because basically I have to get event numbers for the uh, like the near adjacent adjacent 9 weeks per week. So I think with the SQLite, I think that's not like completely trivial for you to think of. So what I was thinking, I could just get the timestamps and then do the calculation, because that calculation itself should be relatively uh, like fast. It's not really a problem in that sense. So I think what we're actually gonna do is just calculate it in JavaScript. So we do need, and this is basically how my database functions look. We have the statement, it's prepared, so it's getting cached, it's more efficient, and then it's getting called in the actual function. So it's basically start times. You don't use ORM, right? Yeah, I don't. So if you use old this one uses Prisma 2, which I'm not that unhappy with, but I've noticed that it does it does not really support that well the more advanced features that I'm more using this. Okay, this like I use some stuff uh, like views, for example, and like more advanced stuff like this, where you're like doing like not only like I'm getting some fields, but instead you're doing something with them and maybe adjusting some logic based on that. So this one is like fairly complicated, like a view. So you basically you can access this internal stuff, but I'm not. Uh, I tried, but personally, I don't think it saves time for me. I think this is more like an idea of what I'm doing. So that's why I'm just using like raw SQL like this. And then the downside is that you do have to type it yourself. You can introduce bugs like this, but I mean, I noticed those bugs are quite easy to fix. So I don't really mind. So in this case, what do we want to say here? Events per week number, events count per week. And here we will give start date. Actually, this will be a function because they're the same type. Date and end date. Date. Actually, I know I'm writing the function. I should be writing the statement. Whatever, just put it there as a placeholder. So this will be what the loader will be calling here. So the loader will be calling this guy right here, and it will get back and record where. Actually, I can already write it down. Maybe it's easier to follow that way. But it still like works. Yeah. So we will event counts per week, and then we have start date. Let's just placeholder values here for now. End date, event codes, and then this guy will actually be returning a record of number, which is the week number, and a number, which is the events count. So it will look like this. Event counts, week number, or in case it's missing, that's 0. So this is basically how it looks like from the loader perspective. The loader is, and I do have to add some like JavaScript calculations on this level, but I was thinking about it today, and I think it's fine because there's no way I can reuse this function anyway. So I think it's fine to do it this way. Then you can subtract it away of what I'm doing, and I could replace it with database query later if I want that. So basically, the start rate will be like -4 weeks, and then that will be +4 weeks, and that's pretty much what we're doing. Events count, events count. I don't know if that's English, but okay. Let's see if I know what we're gonna do here. We can copy here. Let's just copy this actually. But we don't need to do quite this much work. And order by, doesn't matter. No joining. Actually get it from calendar event date. So my DB types. Calendar event is one event on the page. Calendar event date is the date one. It's one to many. So one calendar event can have many dates, but one date belongs to one calendar event. Winner, likewise, one to many. Batch, likewise, one to many. Actually, many to many. Yeah, it's join table. Yeah, so in this case, do any changes? I don't think so. So we're getting it from calendar event date, and we're gonna get the start time, and that's it. That's it. So I'm gonna think of like a better way to do this. Better way to do it. Like this whole formatting SQL. Like I don't know. I'm just doing whatever, as you can see. There should be some actual way to do it. There's maybe it should be in different files, and then some formatting around over that. But anyway, like roughly this is what we're doing. We're just getting like the start times that are between these two times. And then we can implement this function. So start times is event counts per week statement. We do want to get all of them. And we do want to pass in start time. Let's just copy paste from here. Start date, and here we are saying start time. It's interesting. Maybe we should be consistent. Data database timestamp SQLite is using. See, as you see what I'm doing, SQLite has a different format. The dates, start times, then I'm gonna get some water. But basically, we have to implement a function that loops over those start times and then figures out what is the. Okay, I just probably mute myself because I remember when I take water, it's a lot nice. But yeah, we need to loop over those timestamps. Then for each start time, we need to figure out which week number is it, and then we need to increment the count, and that's it. Like it shouldn't be too complicated. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Um, I don't think it's that complicated. So we're gonna take the type annotation from here, slap it to this guy. Here at the end, we are returning the result. This computer. And we do want to also type this guy. So let's say sRA. And yeah, by the way, if you have any questions at all, like what is going on, then ask. It's sometimes a bit hard to know what is clear and what is not. Like at all, this project is kind of obvious for me by now, so I might not always know what is not really so clear. Or if you're not familiar with TypeScript, I'm happy to explain stuff or whatever. But yeah, basically what we're gonna do is so for each start time, which is a number, we can actually copy a bit. Pick number the date, but I think we have some good function. Let's pick type error here. I think we have some good date to be. Yeah, this guy. So I don't know how efficient this is, but typically I don't like to worry about that early on too much. I think it's not a good use of time. So instead, what we can do is date week to number. So then we can say result. It's the cleanest way to do this. And also this should return a map, right? Like it shouldn't return an object. Yeah, it should. Because we are not passing it along to the front end. Or something in JavaScript that maps you have to remember is that you can't pass them over to the client. But in this case, we are only doing stuff on the server, so it's fine, and it's better for this use case. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much like what we are doing. So just quick is this. Take it from my existing utility function, which is just wrapping a date FNS. function, and this is just new date. And actually, no, this is wrapping on the function I have, which is database timestamp to date. Now we have week. Now we say if so const previous count is result get week. And in case we don't have that, then the previous count is obviously 0, right? Makes sense? And then we just result set previous count. I do it in JavaScript. Well, we just do it like this, it's a constant anyway, doesn't matter. To me, like, that's it. Like, without trying, I do believe that's quite close. Now we just have to event counts get. See? I do drink touch. Now we just have to figure out this. So we need to get back 4 weeks. 4 weeks, also known as 1 month. I bet we can just like do something from like data FNS. So data FNS 1 month ago. I never used this, not gonna lie. It's kind of neat. Add days, add months. So this is 10 months. Yeah. Now, and we do add 1. And this is actually no. Think about the start time. This should be sub months. So we're taking away months, and then we are adding months. Now, and also 1. Comments. So, what do you think? Will this work? Let's try that. Oh, boom, first time. Easy every time. Yeah. I mean, actually, it doesn't work. This should be 2. This should be 2 in here. Why is it not getting this? Because these are zeros as expected. It's a, yeah. 13 months. So it's also like not really accurate. There's like 1 off, but I think I know why. It's because I'm doing this thing here. Like I'm appending 12 hours because that way we can also get like late Sunday tournaments of the like West Coast time zone. So basically on the server I should like handle that, but it is still like small things that's kind of, yeah, it's kind of annoying to deal with. Like think about how you should do this, because personally I'm fine. Like this, yeah, it's a bit funny. But now, for example, yeah, I see a Monday. That's not really this week anymore. But it's more like how I'm expecting. And if I'm on like California, I think we could even like simulate that. Like if I'm in California, uh, I think it's you can do it here in the setting. There's like some way to get like a lot of options. I think it's like sensors. Sensors? Show sensors. Yeah. Okay. Location override. We could do San Francisco. But it's still like 4 a.m. for them as well. Yes. And now we see like the problem that I have. Honestly, this is thinking about how like doing it server rendered is like 10 times harder than to do it like from client, because now we have this hydration mismatch as well, as I see now. And it's because we can't actually calculate the paddings ahead of time. We would have to only calculate them after, but that will cause the content to jump around, which is not what we want. I mean, because I don't have to render this all. I don't have to render this at all. I could just be like, if not mounted, then don't render this whole like, and this would basically fix my problems. But what is the cost? Well, the cost is that, of course, it's not there on page load. So, I mean, I can have some skeleton UI here or something. It's fine as well. But I was thinking I could maybe get away with doing some tricks like this. This like a different bucket like scrolls down and up and away. But yeah, we don't need to worry about that too hard right now. 4 a.m. So it's like remembering it. So, or I guess then it then like work. And yeah, let's like try to focus still like what we were trying to do. Let's probably fix this one first. This seems easier. So for some reason we have 35 week, which is the wrong way around. It should probably say week 35. And it's saying 0. So why might that be? Why might that be? No. Okay, well, this is not obviously correct. So we should not like do date now, because this only works if are viewing the we are viewing the week that we're currently in. But what if we are not? Like in this case, then it does. This is not the way to do it. So actually, this should be date week number, week to fetch. Is tricky again. Basically, we want the date of the week we are viewing. But of course, week number can be reduced as to date, but I do believe I already solved this. Week number to date, yeah, that. So I have this function here that is stolen from Stack Overflow. I always try to leave the comment of where I stole it from, because then I can refer back to it, and also people see that, okay, I didn't make it. So in this case, we do, instead of saying now, let's just say we can date. Isn't really week is week to fetch. Here is year to fetch. And boom, it works. With the caveats that we have previously found out. So this one works, but like I think the problem is the one-off problem. Like yeah, we have 13, but actually it's 14. By 2, 1, 1, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, off by 1. I mean, that's not necessarily a problem. I mean, this week 13 is accurate. It is. 13 this week. I'm just in this view. I'm prepared to show. Maybe I should actually make it also on the client. So basically, I could say that okay, we are gonna clone this in the case that it's needed. But maybe we don't have to show it. Like in this case, you could just check here in some cases. So say where are we actually mapping? That map, this map. So what if here, before we mapping, we are actually filtering in a way where we say event, and we say not is mounted, because in this case we don't have access yet to the client's like date. And in that case, we just render everything. Or and or due date, no, database, timestamp, due date, event start time, get date, which I believe get day of the month. No, so get day. And this I believe is 0 is Sunday. No, that's not enough because of course we can have legit Monday tournaments as well. So how do we know it went like across? Like you see what I mean here, right? Sunday, I'm assuming here. And again, this is like a localization problem. It might not always be this way, but I'm making this assumption to make it easier for me right now. That if an event is not held on Sunday, it should not show up here. It will be shown here for a user of this time zone. So how do I know that? How do I know it's not? I think what we actually have to do is date the week number again. So as you see, it's kind of funny, like composing the same functions. Like there's only a couple of them in this case, but composing them in a bit different manners, mentioning like what is in client, what is on server. So in this case, we say date, week, the number is so the week number of that event has to be data this week. And it works. So what this means, we are returning to this week on the loader. We have this week that we are returning. And we are basically checking if the big number is the same. So if it overloads, then like overflows, then we just ignore it. So in this case, now it's the entire thing. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. But yeah, it's still like, of course, now if the guy from NA loads this, they will see 14 events, but it will say 13. So I don't actually know what the real solution is here. It's getting quite difficult the way I chose to do it. At least I do it like 100% correctly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a good solution, but I mean, I think I will still keep this because it's more correct. Is there any headers to note that? Then header user time zone warning. Because this would be quite nice if I could know ahead of time what user's time zone is. But I don't know. I think this is kind of like getting out of hand real quickly here. But yeah, this is my problem right now. Like how I handle these events well that are offline. How I take in account this. Because I could of course say return all the start times, and then I could just do this calculation on client, and that would make it correct. But now I'm like starting to wonder if it makes sense at all to do any server rendering for this. Maybe I should just actually do all of this on client, like not show anything, or maybe show something. Like loading indicator. Okay, that's like that does not seem correct. So this week is probably not the one we want to hook into. So it's weeks. It's actually that one that we should want to do, but I don't know. I think maybe it should be done on client actually. This whole thing, because if not, then this just gets so problematic. And there was also the problem with like the padding, like how I handled that. Like it's so close, but kind of thinking maybe I should just like make it easier for myself like that. Because I can still render the weak links. What time zone format you want? You could just send a custom header and use in it. So on the user's time. So like any format that would allow me to get. Okay, but that's interesting. That's good info. Let's check that out. Yeah, so I'm in Europe, Helsinki. Okay, so I could send the custom header. How would I go about that? But I do quite like that because that would let me get away with so many problems here. And I need it elsewhere as well. Like this won't be the last place where I need this. So maybe we should actually do that. And I do believe we have something here that we could have hook into. Like request. This is the nice thing about Remix is that you really do have the full control over what you're doing, or like what's behind the scenes basically. So this is the one that is handling the request, like the markup. But I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we could actually like hook into like this was actually a really good point. But I do wonder if there won't be some problem with that. But we can try because I would quite like that if that would work. So what time zone format? So basically, we would want to set header on each loader, and I do think there's at least something close to being able to do that. Entry server. So you have this, and response header handle data request. But yeah, this is on the server side, I think. Yeah, this is only running on server. But in fact, we would want some like client code. Yeah, that's really interesting. I really wish I could do that, but I'm really wondering if I'm gonna be able. List like easily without like completely hacking like what Remix is doing. because this is like basically running once when the markup is getting hydrated. So this is like the first thing that is running with the React. And this is just on the server side. But basically this is not like exactly what we want. We would basically want some kind of like middleware that sits next to load, like before you make this call the loader, that it would like do the put the header into it. I think the framework is not is gonna be the limiting factor here, unfortunately. I can't think of any like good ways to do it. I think like this kind of like falls into like one of the feature requests, but would be nice for this that you would be able to like have some kind of like middleware. But even then, this is kind of like specific case we would want to like a header for each request that's getting made. I'm still wondering, maybe there's like a way to do it. Basically, we want to set because we can modify it on the server side, but of course that won't help us since we would have to know. Like this is basically what you can do. You can set a response or like yeah, so you could pass like you could do like a header here or whatever. Yeah. Oh, it's so sad, but I don't think that's gonna actually it's not gonna be a viable solution. So I think like quickly thinking about it, I think like actually we want to refactor this so that we are actually calculating these counts on server. So basically we are returning instead of doing this map calculation here, we would be doing this on the client. That means that every time these are in sync because yeah, we have access to the client state or like the page state there. But of course, I would prefer to do it on the server if possible. Then likewise for this event, so we would actually not render anything. We just get every event that possibly can be, and like yeah, just basically. So maybe this could be like just taking some space. So it's you see right away. It's in my opinion, it's not as clean. You will just load first this view and then it'll load in the events after. But I think it's like the way I started doing it is kind of interesting. Not lie, but I think it's I'm really not doing myself service doing it this way. And I don't think we have to refactor too much, luckily, and we can get rid of all of this, some of these like really like weird things that we have here. So think I think we should like abstract this to a different function first of all. We could say function events list, where we are basically gonna take this list. Let's just. This is now kind of funny. It's just like basically nothing here, but I think it's fine actually. And let's just copy that over. No, looks good. But actually, think yeah. Then the next step would be to not render this. Not render this if we have not mounted. Which does Yeah, right. I need to also remove them from here because I don't need to do all of this junk now. So here, invisible. Well, we can. Let's do it like this so we remember to fix it because it can be done now better. Visible false date string. Same thing. Invisible is false dismounted. Same thing. Just actually print the timestamp straight up. And yeah, you see the kind of nasty thing that sadly this will do. But again, it's fine. And this won't be a factor, by the way, if we are navigating from, say, from our beautiful, no, say from our beautiful batch space. By the way, this animation, I don't know. I don't know if this is annoying or not, but I thought it was kind of cool. I think I'm gonna leave it. I don't care. It only plays on the page load. I don't know. To me, it's kind of cool. I don't think this is really a page where people go, that often. It's just like if you want to see all of them, so it's like a small, like funny thing. I don't know. I kind of like it, but yeah, this won't be a factor if we are coming from the like client-side navigation. This is only if someone gets a link here, then this will be, and of course we can reserve space so it won't flicker. So I think this is actually like probably by far the solution I prefer here. Okay, so you guess what we're gonna have to do now? We're gonna do this. We're gonna calculate into an object I have ahead of time, and that's gonna give us. It's gonna look much nicer than what we are doing. Like whatever the hell this is, we can get rid of all of this junk here. So it will be quite simply. I kind of want to reduce this, but I think I will restrict myself, and it's just do like a neat function. So we will say events group, and the reason for this function to exist is to group the events, as we might guess. We need to do some like weird stuff here to get the type. Oh, it's nice. This is also like they're not even exposing this utility function for some reason. So I don't really know why not, but that's the guy we're using. So events. Nullable. No, you're not nullable. Chill. Yeah, yeah. So now we get the events here, and basically events grouped by date, day. I don't yet know. I mean, I guess this is basically gonna be record. No, it's gonna be an array, right? It's gonna be an array of tuples of uh, date, maybe, and let's probably like extract that to something. Type event is I don't know. Should I? Should I just go crazy with this? What are we doing wrong? This is so hard to see. Like that. Okay. So this is how it will work. We can iterate through this. Actually, and this will be. What am I? No. Yeah. No, we don't unpack this. This is an array of events. Because the reason is here is that we have one date, which is basically one day in the user's time zone, and then for each day we have a list of events. Yeah, and this function is we could do it here as well, but I think it's a bit cleaner to just extract it right away. And we are returning the result. Yes, so basically we have to rework this markup quite a bit. I'm getting quite nervous about the amount of changes we have here. It's not really normally something I would do, but so for const events. Maybe we should call it calendar event because event is kind of like normally something else in JavaScript. Then from the start time, we take the date because that will allow us to know. Because we know they are in order, so we can use that info and about what the algorithms like. Basically, we are always checking the last date, which is result length. This one. So we are basically getting the last one that we have for now. Because we want to know if we have to make a new entry or we just need to append to this last events. Last day reviews. It's always the hardest part is to think about the names for these things. Just think about it after. But basically, is yeah, that. It's basically this. So if now let's say events 0 or let's say events get day, so the day of it is not day. Just do it like this, calendar event. So this way we can check if it's the same one. If it's the same one, or actually, in fact, if it's a different one. Then we are pending a result. And this date can be whatever date. It doesn't really matter. It's only going to be used for the week anyway. I mean, I don't know, maybe it could be something other than date, but I think it's fine that it's date. We don't really care. The result push Wednesday. Events date. Then instead we can say get day. Now we can use this here. And this is a new array where we have the calendar event. Otherwise, result, right? One push calendar event. And I think we're just not going to care that TypeScript doesn't like us. But it know that it's defined here. Oh, I love TypeScript for this. So we can just say this. It knows it will always be defined. Really. But that name is horrifying. It doesn't really like tell you that well about what it's about. But yeah, this is like pretty much what we want to do. So we just group them by date. I guess there's gonna be like a nice way to do it in JavaScript soon, but for me this is quite okay. Last day events. Maybe it should be like reviews it and I don't know. I mean, to me that's fine. Like it's probably could be cleaner, but then I think it's fine to actually handle the filtering here. It's just because I'm kind of nervous what's gonna happen next. We're gonna have to change so much stuff. So instead of saying data events, honestly, I think I'm gonna just write this whole markup. Hey, supers. And instead say sex strong programming seems very fun. Yeah. All right. I'll get some water. But yeah, basically we're just gonna map over. I hope this won't be too loud for you guys. Guess we just made this nice function. I didn't even test it. I'm just gonna assuming it works. But and balance seems like linked to your personal site and it's in for broken. Oh, thanks. I think it might be outdated. I used to have one, but then the domain expired, and I was like, I don't really feel like replacing that. But yeah, I should remove it from there. So thanks for the. I think it's fine to now take this whatever we were returning here, then we can just adjust it. Because instead of doing this, we want to do something slightly different. First of all, let's React fragment. Yeah, I think that's fine. That can be days events 0. Get time, doesn't really matter. That would be unique, so it works as a key. Then this date string, whatever that was. Again, just say this. Okay, but this is where it gets different. Let's leave that as a reminder. It's gonna look a bit different. Top info section. So actually we are now gonna map over these events. So this is the actual events is here. Actually, I could like these structures. So the names are a bit better. So instead I could say here day state, I don't know, day state and events. I don't know if that improved the situation remarkably, but okay. So in now here we have the event, and what we can take is section. Return it here. Okay. And BB9. Well, well, we can do it the old way then maybe because this can be done via CSS, of course. You don't have to do it in JavaScript. But what we can check is if I is events 9 minus 2, because that means it's the last one, right? So then it gets padding at the bottom, same as what we had previously. Invisible. Well, we're never invisible. That can be removed. And same. The same. The same. Yeah. I could have also done this smarter, but whatever. And will it work? Just remove this, it's kind of hard to follow. But yeah, this could also be like maybe like a function, like a separate function. So this guy has no matching pair. And we have basically the same behavior as before. Just this time it's done on client, and it will allow us to fix some of the problems we had before. No, wait, did I even take it in use? Oh, I did, okay. Cool. False, invisible, false. Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna be invisible. So it's not like final version, but it's closer because it will allow us to fix the problems we had before. Namely, okay, this is still showing here. I think you should be doing that, not gonna lie. So we are lacking the filter now. Yeah, front-end developing with Rust. So I don't know about that. Guess there's some frameworks. I don't know about what their status is currently. But yeah, you can just filtering logic when I find it. It's the same thing. So when we are looking over the events, first we filter them out. Maybe we should actually. Well, I don't know. Because this could be a function, but isn't this kind of obvious what it's doing? Data this week. Wait, that's not really correct. That's not correct. So it works here, but then not work anywhere else. Yeah, I know it's quite interesting the stuff they're doing, but I also noticed some, like one of the like the bigger startups trying to make it happen said they had some problems that they were not able to resolve, so they gave up on it. I think it could very well be solved one day, but it seems like there's some problems that might prevent it at least from now. I know, like with Rust, there's like it's called. Which one was it? The Rust web framework. Uh, I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember at this hour. Not Rocket. Tactics. Rust frontend? Ah, yeah, this. So I know stuff like this exists, but I don't know realistically like who's running this in production, for example. Last release last December, but that doesn't mean it. But yeah, anyway, so this the we can like at least one more thing we can still do today is because yeah, as you can see, like we from the server we are passing this week attribute. This week attribute is quite literally this week. So in this case, it sets this week, next week, last week, or handles that logic. But well, we're using it here, so that is obviously not correct. We'll show you how to fix it, and then we need to figure out a bit better way to do it. So weeks, and we can actually just take like the fourth index. And it will work. What I did there is that's yeah, thanks. So this is not like this, like we won't have this kind of magic number here, but this is basically this close by weeks is basically doing this element up here. And we can definitely reuse that. I think that's not a problem. But I don't want to do like this. So maybe think about what way to do it, because of course, like the magic number thing is not really a viable solution. So I think even if it's redundant, yes, that's true. I'm trying it out. If there's any feedback, let me know. But I done this once, but it was over a year ago. But honestly, this is quite fun. I'm just like my voice is dying from speaking, but I also like explaining stuff. I think I'm more productive, I'm more focused. I'm not really like jumping around, watching what is happening on Twitter. I think I get more done. But yeah, I think even if it's redundant, I think what we should have is have like this week. This is kind of misleading. Weeks. That's like naming. For me, naming is just the hardest thing. I'm trying to like think of good names, but it's so hard because basically this week is like here we have something, and this guy is the week of which events we are showing, and this one is the week that is currently real life. So they are both week numbers, but they are a very different thing. And honestly, I don't quite know what to name this. We're going out name stream this week. This week. I mean, that to me makes sense. This week, the week we're living in right now. And then this would be like the I think week fetched is not so bad. It kind of explains what we week fetched. And again, this is the current week, but we don't have displayed week. Oh, that's really good. That's much better than my idea. Let's do that. But first, let's show, because basically this is the same exact thing as this. But there's no way I'm gonna have like a magic number, like accessing the index number 4 here. Like that's just like asking for problems. So week fetched should still like work just fine. Yeah. So now we don't have any. Oof, we don't like that. So we need to adjust the filter positions. But first, let's take do the success temporal. Let's see that this week. So current TypeScript is gonna help us here. And then displayed week. Displayed week. And week. As it is, I think it's better to just maybe keep the same naming. Displayed. Then we can just say displayed week. Week links. Current week. Yeah, I think this is more obvious what's going on. And this was a bug because this was current week, but actually it should have been this using this new displayed week. So we also fix a more small bug. Meta is like when we are sharing this on Twitter or Discord, then Meta will show us the description. But that was wrong, but that's not fixed. And now we need to also move on the filter because now we have this Monday, August 1st here. So we can't filter in the render, we should filter in this group. It's group by day. But I think if you would want it done cleanest, then honestly we'll probably do something like this. Filter next, filter out next week's mistakes group events, which is turn type of events group. Okay. And basically the only thing we're doing here is return group events, filter date. So then we're gonna do the peak logic here. This logic in itself is correct. And we're gonna pass the displayed week here. And we're gonna flip this one. So then instead of doing the filter here in the render, we're gonna get rid of this guy. But before we are doing the events group by day. Okay, well, I think this is still like fine. Wait, what? Yeah, right. And that one. I think like nesting two functions like this is fine. And then we get rid of the Monday. Yeah. Yeah, so this is pretty much fixing what I set out to do. We have a lot of stuff to do here still. Like for example, this should not do this because you can see the footer when we reload the page. Instead, I'm just gonna reserve space for this content. So basically, We can do it now because it's simple. So here we're saying it's mounted. So we can just say, I mean, I could also like, I don't know, this doesn't need to be a special class, but whatever, can be. Calendar CSS. And so there, up. Yeah. And we can just say like whatever, like hide this 48 trim or whatever. And now it's still like the content is flickering, but we go to network, say throttling. Oh, Richie. Disable cache, maybe not that slow. Okay, and this guy stays down here. So this is actually, I think, good enough for this use. And again, if the client's not navigating, then they won't even see this. So this is totally okay. This is totally okay to do it like this. Okay, well, I think this is good progress. I think the last thing could be about this. Because now with, oh, that's slow. Oh, fast 3G, that's one. So there can be a mismatch. I don't know if that's a problem actually. I should not worry about that. Unique key prop events list. What's the problem? Section where the key is calendar event ID, and that error is gone. Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily a problem. And I'm also still thinking like showing the events like Sunday to Monday evening, they should show up here. I think this is more like what people expect more than showing them here. So maybe we can make a note about that actually, because maybe that's like maybe after all. So because like do we really need to, because otherwise they get pushed to next week. I think that's funny. I think it's better to show them here or both. Yeah, these numbers are not always correct, but I don't know if it really matters if they're like one off sometimes. I really don't think it matters that much. It's just about the events that are happening at the Sunday night anyway. Okay. But yeah, rename the events or calendar events. This should be probably calendar events. Good. No, this is like my to-do. That should be like not like long living to-dos, but more like something that I fix as soon as possible. 20%. Yeah, right. So they can have batch prices. Time doesn't take space. Didn't we fix that? Yeah, we did. Not take into account main space. That, however, is true. Adding for last, generate crude. So does this matter that we are not doing it in CSS? Because of course you could, like, if you refactor the markup a bit, then yeah, of course you can have this in CSS. But I don't know if I really care enough. I think this is fine. I don't care. problem managements. We have to remember the same thing, but it's fine because this is quite important. Yeah, but otherwise, I think what would be the next things? Actually, that does not look correct. They are now quite lacking space. So I think what we want to do is, yeah, let's just do this. Here you can say class stack medium, rather, to me. Then let's move this. Right, so now we can do this in CSS. We don't need to do it here. So in this case, when we have a calendar event, we go here. I do believe we can do something like calendar event last. I never remember which is which. And this, right? Yeah, here we can see it taking effect. So since it's the last child, it's getting the padding, and this guy is not. Yeah, I think that is quite fine. But then, of course, now we don't really have to do so narrow. I was doing a weird thing here. Makes sense to explain, but now this does not need to be so narrow. So calendar event date. So first of all, this doesn't need to set height. But what we do want to set is padding block. Probably to be also for, yeah, yeah. That's because it's easier to tell at glance when you're like scrolling down. It's easier to see at glance which day is which. I'm still thinking there could be maybe some color coding or something that could be like, say, Saturday is like red, for example, and then you could always like scroll down to, yeah, scroll to red when you want the Saturday events or something. But I don't know. This is at least like much closer to what we want. But actually, I think this is not correct. It should not be padding block. It should be padding block start, and then this should not be 4. This should be something like 6. Because now the date is hugging the section where it belongs, if that makes sense. Like it's more like an header now instead of in between. So I think that's actually better. Yeah, I think that's better. But yeah, otherwise I think like generally like this layout is, to me, looking pretty good. The next things we would need to do is batches. So a tournament can have a batch prize. You win the tournament, get the prize. So I think I'm wondering that might show in the list view or in the event view. It's probably gonna only show here. But then we have this concept of like like tags. So you can have like tag for say tournament is region locked, which means if you are European, then you cannot play in this because this is like a Nintendo official event where they are prohibiting that. But then like later, I don't think it's supported here, but later we could, for example, I could like filter out events like that if I don't care about those. What is this? Why am I doing here custom team color or tomato? Now it's tomato. That's, I don't know, what is this? Well, tomato is a nice CSS color, so no hate there. But otherwise, as you can see, like functionally, this is getting like closer to this, how this is working. Of course, what we don't have is uh, this whole like form to actually submit an event, so that's missing. And some other stuff that's missing is 2 day events. We have an example. I don't know, but basically your event can have 2 days, so we should say like day 2 here or something, which we are not doing currently. Should probably add like a note about that actually. But yeah, I think otherwise I'm close to being done. I have work in the morning, so I need to sleep. If anyone has any questions, now's a good time. But I think I will do this again. I think this was quite interesting, and I think I got a lot done, specifically because I was trying to actually do stuff. If you're working yourself, you often just like look stuff like that's not really relevant to what you're doing. But this was actually quite productive, so I think I will give it a go some other time. So yeah, I guess that's just thank you for watching. Hope to see you around for next time if I'm doing this again. Goodbye. Have a nice evening or night or day, whatever it might be for you. Bye.